Hello F1 fans! Welcome back to the F1 Masters podcast brought to you by AUBG Daily. As usual, you're with me, Vasco, David and Harry, and in this episode we're going to discuss the 2024's Formula 1 cars and their liveries. And we have all of them actually right now, and we would start from Haas, who first presented their car at the beginning of the month. What do you think about their livery and what we see from the pictures?
Well, they were the first ones to unveil, and they kind of started a trend with some of the F1 teams, but a lot of black. As we can see, it is predominantly black, which has not been a usual color for Haas, but they have continued to integrate it more and more. And I mean, I don't personally like the black. I think I preferred it when it was like all white with the red wings. Right now it looks kind of stale. There's a lot of sponsor logos on it, so that's also not that appealing, but overall it's kind of meh for me.
I agree. I mean, I even liked when they introduced a kind of a gray color a few years back. It was better than this car. I don't like the black as well. I think it's like a 4 out of 10 for me. I just cannot... I cannot agree that with people that think this is a good car, good looking car.
For me, the Haas car is super average, has a super average livery, but this is a trend throughout all of the Formula 1 cars. Everybody is using black as a predominant color, and everybody is talking about that. But yeah, let's say that gives them some kind of advantage, and it is understandable. I don't like it, but it is understandable. There is another thing that is really bugging me, and this is the commercials, all the ads that are placed on every car. They look like these kids' toys that are full of stickers and all that stuff, and I personally don't like it because F1 should be for the fans, and you should enjoy these beautiful super fast cars. And right now we see 10 cars that are looking almost the same, and they're full of different brands, and at the beginning of the season I'll be confused. I won't be sure whether I'm watching some kind of a commercial with cars or I'm watching the actual best automobile sport in the world. But for the Haas car especially, nothing special, nothing spectacular, super average for me.
We can also discuss the aerodynamics. I think that they haven't really changed that much because they didn't have the budget, and I cannot see like a significant change in the front wing or like the side pods. What do you see, guys?
I see another really poor season for Haas, and their car won't be something spectacular. Overall, I don't think that there would be anything great throughout this season for Haas, and maybe that is the reason why their car is full of different brands and different commercials. They're just trying to get some more cash.
Moving on to a team that likes getting cash, that is Stake F1 team, which is very different compared to what the Sauber is known for. The traditional red is gone and replaced with this neon green that looks like slime from Nickelodeon. It looks like a car that doesn't have an F1 license. It has no distinct feature. I guess the really green is something distinct, but it looks super basic. It looks like some kind of preset livery, and there's a lot of black on this one as well. It looks kind of cartoon-like. Valtteri Bottas looks like a animated character with his new hairstyle and this new suit. I just think that this team will be such a clown show this year.
I think the same, and I'm almost sure that when I was a kid I had like the same car, like a toy, and when I look at it, do you know what I see? I see Ben 10. This is like a car from this cartoon, but again, nothing special. A lot of brands placed on the car. I don't have any real explanation why there is so much green and black, and it looks like a design that I made when I had like 10 free minutes. So again, I think that is going to be the episode that we spill most hate toward every F1 team, because I think for a couple of years we haven't had like an amazing cars, but this is the lowest points for all the liveries. There we were complaining the previous seasons that there is no creative element and all of the teams decided to do something that they have done before and there is no creativity and so on and so on. And this season we see like the peak of these 10 cars that are looking almost the same, but the only thing that is distinct for them is actually how ugly they are.
As you guys made comparisons to some animated movies, I have seen throughout social media Valtteri Bottas being compared to Chick Hicks from Cars 1. This is also relatable because when he's in the green suit and in this car, he's gonna be just looking like the guy.
Can we move on to Williams?
Please.
Well, with Williams, actually, again, the Williams looks strange, but it is one of the cars that I like better. They're not that bad, and the brands are placed a bit better, so at least it looks like they gave it a thought and didn't put it right there. And I like that. I like their blue, which is like a dark blue, and there is not that much of a black paint on the car, so I'm not the biggest hater of this.
I kind of disagree because over the last, I would say, 20 seasons, the Williams is known to be predominantly a light car in terms of color, whether that's a lot of white involved with blue. I think those combinations have worked for them really well in the past, and I don't like the darkness of it because it's just not distinguishable for me. It doesn't stand out whatsoever. It kind of looks like a battery for me. Maybe that's because of the Duracell sponsorship, but it's overall just a Williams car that doesn't have any flavor to it. I don't know how to explain it. Like the cars from the previous years, they were bright, they would stand out on track, but this, especially with a lot of dark cars, is not going to stand out whatsoever.
At least it's not ugly.
It's funny how Haas's team principal's name is placed on the side pod, Komatsu. But other than that, I also would like to say that I miss the Williams Martini days, the livery of the Felipe Massa and Valtteri Bottas cars, like back in 2014, 15, 16. It was awesome.
I have a question for you guys. Do you think that throughout the season, when we have special liveries, do you think they're going to be predominantly black too?
I don't think so, because it won't be a special livery then if it's black. It'll just be the same car.
Maybe, but do you think that a team is going to sacrifice one race just to look good?
Imagine Ferrari at Monza pull up with a all black car. That would be kind of funny in a way. But I don't see people making special liveries that are black. I don't think that's ever happened before. At least I can't remember.
We'll see. This season the predominant color is black, so we can see this for the first time. And moving on to, for me and I think for you too, the ugliest F1 livery that we have seen in a lot of years.
I hate this car. It's the Alpine. It is so ugly. I mean, when they were doing teaser shots, they were showing this camo pink on the front wing, and I was interested, and then they showed this abomination of a car. And when they showed this car, because this was the fourth car in a row that was predominantly black, and I thought to myself, F1 should create a rule where the whole car should be painted. There will be no reason to not paint the car. There's no competitive advantage, and it would allow the cars to stand out more. So I think this is a simple rule that F1 can implement so we avoid cars like this, where I guarantee when we go to Bahrain, we will have no idea if we're looking at an Alpine, a Williams, a Mercedes, a Haas. You can't tell. So I think this would be a good rule to have the whole car painted, because even if you want it black, you have to paint it black, which would remove any competitive advantage that the F1 teams are going for.
Absolutely agree with that.
I can't say more about this suggestion. I agree as well. And the Alpine is just awful. I miss the pink Alpine. It was better than this car because it was colorful. It was not like almost all black. Just awful.
They showed, actually, there was a pink version and a blue version. I don't know if you guys saw. You literally can't tell. It's just the chain change of the front wing slightly, like some outlines are pink instead of blue, which is hideous, just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I cannot look at that car anymore. Let's move to Visa, Cash App, RB, whatever. This is like an even worse version than Haas for me. They have brands put it on their car everywhere, and they're advertising just a bunch of random stuff. And I don't like the car too, although they're not so predominant elements of black. For me, the car is a bit ugly. The brands on it are too much, and another car that I'm not fascinated by.
I actually disagree, even though, yes, the sponsorships are quite ugly. I think the livery itself is quite nice. It is reminiscent of Toro Rosso from 2017 to 2019, and I loved that livery. It's got the same sort of color scheme. The sponsors definitely make it worse. I mean, I can't imagine watching someone's onboard and then following a car that says Visa on the rear wing. That will be almost hilarious to witness, but I still think that the colors are cool, and this is definitely the best livery we saw up until this point in the presentations of the cars.
I would agree with David, just because of the color scheme as well. I love the Toro Rosso colors, and this outweighs the sponsors. Like as Vasco said, there are too many sponsors, but maybe the livery itself is just quite good.
Personally, for me, it's super ugly to have. They don't have like a spare spot on their car. There should be always something. Cash App, Visa, Hugo, Orlean, Cash App, Tudor, everything. It's just too much for me. Let's move to Aston Martin. And this is a livery that I actually like better, because the green color is alright. I like it. And at the same time, they also have a lot of sponsors, a lot of brand names, but at least the car is a bit colorful. There is something to it. It's not just an uncreative black car with some elements at the front or at the back. So Aston Martin, in other season, it would be an average car, because they could have done much better work with the green, because green, it's very visual. People really enjoy seeing it if the design is done in the right way. And in every other season, there wouldn't be any like noise surrounding that car. But I think personally, this is one of my favorite ones so far this season.
I would agree. I think the green looks really clean, and Aramco colors actually complement the color really well of Aston Martin. In the past, I've had difficulty distinguishing it from a Mercedes when they're both on track. I just hope that the green stands out more this year, but it's quite similar, but I think it's better than last year. Overall, minimal changes, but it still looks really nice.
I'm grateful to them that they didn't put the logos of their sponsors in different colors, just like V-Carb did, because this would be awful. Like the green, as David said, it's clean like that. The logos are white, and I think it's a good looking car.
It's not too much as it is with the other cars, because especially in the Visa Cash App RB and Haas, the brands are too much for me. Moving on to probably the best livery of all this season, and this is Ferrari.
Yeah, Ferrari have a really nice livery, and it's contrasting to the liveries they've had over the last couple years, where they've added some black to go with the red. They've brought back the white stripes, and there's some yellow stripes as well, and it makes it pop more. I also feel like the red is a little bit of a brighter shade, and they've even colored the wheel covers as well. So I think it looks really, really nice. It stands out compared to the rest, and it's a classic Ferrari red, which is always good looking, and I definitely think that there is really no competition in terms of best livery.
For the first time, I can agree that Ferrari are the winners. And I like how bright the color actually is, and how they put it on the tires, this red color, and all of the brands that are on the car are actually complementing each other. When you see Shell, Ray-Ban, it's creative, it's interesting, and this car is going to stand out in front of all the other cars, because it's something that that we won't see very often throughout this season. I have to compliment Ferrari on the work they have done and the way they try to be different from everybody else, which is not working usually for them. But I hope this time at least the car is better, because this livery deserves a good working car.
Congrats to Ferrari. This livery is amazing. And when I saw the driver's overalls, I thought that there would be more white on the car, but it turns out there isn't that much. But still, when I see it, I just can't say nothing more than just it's beautiful.
I think all the teams are trying to escape using white paint or overusing white for anything else than brands on their car. And moving on to Mercedes. A lot of controversy surrounding that team in the past 2-3 weeks, and a lot of controversy, I think, with delivery too, because they were wondering whether it should be silver or whether it should be black. They tried some different liveries throughout the past few seasons, and this season they decided to combine it, and I hate it because at the front you see that silver, but it looks like it shouldn't be part of the car, because there is, for when the whole car is black, I don't think that this silver at the front is complementing it in any way. It looks strange. It looks like somebody put it there in the last minute, and I'm not really fascinated from this car.
I disagree. I think it complements quite a bit the gray into the black transition. I like, along with the Petronas light blue colors at the front. I think it's a good combination, although I would say I probably preferred it to be fully silver. The biggest issue I have with this is the Ineos colors. They just ruined the whole car. I mean, they don't fit the colors whatsoever, but Mercedes have to stick them on the car, and it really ruins it. But an interesting aspect about this car is how different aerodynamically it looks compared to last year. I mean, they have side pods for one thing, which is quite outstanding, and their front wing actually looked more aggressive compared to last season. What are you guys' thoughts on the aerodynamic part of the car?
I have to say that you don't have to forget that it's like 99% sure that this is not going to be the car that is going to show up for the first race of the season. And that is why I try to escape the talking how the car is looking, how the car would be performing from, for example, what is going to be the aerodynamic system, how the side pods are going to work, because I think the teams are showing only a glimpse of what their car is going to look like, and they're not actually revealing how they're going to show up for the first race of the season. And of course, this is normal because strategy advantage, but that is why I think they may have a bit different car, but we should wait for at least 1 or 2 races and see how this car is going to perform, and is the changes that they have done are actually going to work.
I am curious to know whether these changes are going to work, because this is a completely different philosophy from what we saw in the previous 2 years. In terms of the livery, since the Ineos sponsorship began, I've always said that it doesn't fit the car, it doesn't suit the colors, but still, as they are their sponsors, they cannot do anything. So other than that, I preferred an all silver car, but Mercedes don't listen to their fans, so that's what they did.
Moving on to McLaren, we have their classic orange, but I guess in the middle portion there's a lot of black and very dark for McLaren's standards. It kind of reminds me of their McLaren Honda days, and it's not really appealing to me. I would have rather had it fully orange, or at least the middle part have some sort of white pattern like we've seen in their Indy cars, for example. I think they have potential for really good livery, but they've kind of removed the blue that they had, which looked really nice in my opinion 5 years ago, and replaced it with black, and I personally don't think it's that good.
I like the papaya color, and personally, every time McLaren show up a livery, I enjoy it. But this time, I think it's nothing special. They have these black elements are not my thing, and I would personally have preferred if they used some different colors, something a bit brighter, probably white, or something that would complement that papaya color better. But overall, that is not one of the worst cars. I think it's again average, but I prefer it compared to some of the other cars because they have something special in their car, that orange papaya color that makes them different from all other teams.
We have seen better McLaren liveries in the past few years, but still, as Vasco said, it's average. It's not one of the worst ones on the grid. And I'm surprised there are no sponsors on the front wing, though, as McLaren are famous for having many sponsors in the last few years. I don't know how that's possible.
Well, McLaren have struggled financially in the last few years as well. I think they had to sell a portion of the company in order to stay in F1. So, yeah, they're kind of on the back foot. So, I'm not really surprised they don't have that many sponsors. But still, even without the sponsors, it's just the dark aesthetic is not for them.
And the last car, my favorite, Red Bull. And I know that I'm going to get hate from you guys, but for me, it's alright. Every season, Red Bull pull up with the same livery and they're showing us the same car and everybody's like, oh, try to do something different, try this, try that. I think this is something core special for Red Bull, and I really like how this livery is presented. I think that the sponsorship messages are done in a really fashionable manner, and this combination from the bull with red and yellow complementing that dark blue, I like it. It's not the best one, but I think Red Bull are doing great job every year because their livery, it's not the best, it's not the worst, but everybody knows what they're going to do, and I think what they do is working for them.
The Red Bull is the same as last year, which was the same as the year before, but it doesn't matter because it's a fine livery. I mean, you don't need to fix it. Maybe it would be more interesting if they changed it up because people have these high expectations due to their previous test liveries that they like to bring out and show off their insane designs. I mean, especially the white Red Bull that they had for their Honda partnership also was really nice. They have shown in the past that they can make some really nice liveries, but it's still fine. You know, it portrays the Red Bull exactly how it should be portrayed, so there's nothing really to complain about.
If they wanted to experiment with liveries, they actually did it with Toro Rosso, AlphaTauri. They're experimenting with the liveries there every year, pulling up something new, something strange, like this year with Visa Cash App. And that is why I think they're doing a great job with consistently having an alright livery for the Red Bull car.
Well, they experiment with the B team, yes, but with the A team, they never experiment. It's always pretty uninspired and the same, similar style all the time. So I don't think that that's really an, I guess, excuse for Red Bull to not do experiments because they experiment on the slower car, which doesn't get shown on TV as much. I personally would like if the dark blue was maybe a little bit lighter blue, kind of like the Red Bull can kind of blue. I think that would be an interesting color scheme. Maybe it would make it more cartoon-like, but I think it would be an interesting change-up.
I think that they have a brand identity which they follow. That is why they don't change their liveries much. But as David said, maybe they need to introduce like a more darker blue color, which is also synonymous with their cans, with their products.
Overall, not really inspiring liveries, and I don't think that throughout the season we're going to have some change or something different. So this is probably the worst season for liveries that I've seen, and I think it's the same for you too. We've been watching the sport for almost 15 years, and this year they have done like super inspiring liveries.
I remember as a kid, I would always get super excited for car launches. You know, it always was something unique teams brought cars with vibrant colors, and it was really a spectacle. Now it's just the same thing over and over again, and all the cars don't stand out from one another, so it's more and more disappointing as the years go on. And I just hope that next year we don't have, I guess, cars that are only in black, because that would really be bad for the sport.
We'll see what is going to happen. But moving on from the liveries, guys, we have a special announcement to make. The F1 Masters team will be hosting a live F1 podcast event during the Bahrain Grand Prix. This is going to happen in the BAC Auditorium in AUBG on Saturday, the 2nd of March. We will be answering fans' questions live, having a live race watch-along, and hosting both a pre-race and a post-race show. Stay tuned for more details about the event, as these will be posted on AUBG Daily's social media channels. We'll be waiting for you there. I think we'll have a really great time there.
Yeah, guys, make sure to come. It's gonna be a one-time event, so if you want to see us live and watch the race with us, please tune in on the 2nd of March. But this is all for today from us. We're looking forward to the next episode. Till then, like, subscribe, and follow us in AUBG Daily on Instagram and Facebook, and stay tuned for more of our content. Thank you, and remember,
if you no longer go for a gap that exists,
You're no longer a racing driver.